Hello everyone! Hello world! Hey, guess what? Guess what? I got some cool stuff. Hold on. I'm going to check and make sure that YouTube stream is actually doing the thing. The YouTube stream. You know the one I'm talking about. Let's see, so... yeah. Claims I'm live. We'll see. Alright, so I got stuff from Shapeways. Shapeways is a place that does 3D printing, and I sculpted these things in ZBrush. Probably gonna repeat this 30 times for everyone who pops on and asks what I'm doing. That's alright. First things first. You know what? While no one's here, I'm gonna go get some more stuff. I'll be right back. Amy, hello! Our stalwart, Amy, and Onassis, the toy tracker. What's up? Alright, so if you guys were here when I was doing this gold leafing, you'll recognize this beautifully, freshly shinied board game cover box that I'm working on. As a refresher for everyone else, this is a board game. Here's the original concept art for it, created in about 10 minutes during lunch on a game jam. So the game is called Shafted, and it's about little gnomes. You've got a little team of gnomes, and you're trying to get the treasure before your opponents do. So, that's what we're going to be talking about today, is gnomes. 3D printed gnomes. This is the second iteration of the prototype board. This is one half of it. And so players start at the top and they work their way down. And so it starts with all these, blank rocks. The whole thing's covered in rocks. When you move your gnome into that space, you flip it over, and if it's got jewels on it, you need that number of gnomes to collect it. So once you get six gnomes on there, you take it away, and then it's left with these tracks. And tracks you can move through for free. So you got another one, 6. Here's 4 jewels. These are all jewels. Most of them are not jewels. There's a limited set of jewels that you're trying to collect, and then also this number is the weight of the rock that's above you. So, for instance, if you, let's see, 4 and a 4. Okay, so if you move a gnome here, there's 6 weight. And you move here, there's 4, and that equals 10, which would cause a shaft to collapse, killing all your gnomes on there. Well, sending them to the gnome hospital. This is a eat for everyone game. And yeah, so there's all this kind of strategy about sometimes you want to collapse shafts if there's more of your opponent's gnomes in them than yours. And yeah, it's super fun, and I thought it was worth pursuing further, so I've just been doing this on my own. And yeah, so let's look at some of these little gnomes. So I got 2 different sets. So there's four teams, 4 different colors, and I wanted them to I wanted to have like a cheaper version of the figures and then like a collector's edition, if you will. So this is the cheaper one where they're all just one single color. White's probably the worst thing to show this on. Let me get a different color out. How's your SAT practice going, Amy? Alright, so here are blue gnomes. Right. Huh, I was hoping if I didn't wear white gloves, then it would focus better. Ah, it's got it for the most part there. So this is a set of 10, and I sculpted them on this lattice work, basically, because there's a charge per part, and so you don't want, I wouldn't want to print all 10 of these guys because then it'd multiply the cost of the per part by 10. So but I did want to get the different colors done separately, obviously, because they can just do them in that color. Let's see. I'll just get them all out. All the teams are pretty much the same except for the color and the shape of their base. Each of the jewels has a different shape and color associated with it. So there's white diamonds, there's blue sapphires, or kind of square sapphires, triangle, rubies. Rubies. It took me 5 seconds to remember the word rubies. For the record. Alright, so let's start popping these little guys off and see how what they're like. I've never actually got anything printed in this material. This is one of their cheaper materials. Like I said, I wanted a version that was semi-affordable. Even this, I want to say it was like $35 or $40 for one pack of 10, and you would need to get 4 of them, so it's still not cheap enough. But I assume that as printing techniques get more, reasonable, that the price will go down over time, I hope. Alright, these are the tools I think I'm going to need to get these guys removed. Dottie, hello! Onassis says, you gotta paint them, right? Now, just wait, Onassis. These are, well, I'm going to do something to these. I'm not going to, like, paint them like miniatures where they all have tiny little faces and stuff. I do have another set that I'm going to be doing that too. That's the higher quality version, and we'll get to that. Amy says, okay, I guess. Currently working on signing up for it. Taking it in December. I don't even remember if I did the SATs, to be honest. I was homeschooled in Alaska until my senior year of high school, so there are a lot of formative high school-y type things I just didn't participate in. So I feel like what I need to pop these off is little, like, super thin clippers, like even these scissors might be too thick. So can you see what a small distance I gave myself there? I've got to get in there and clip the little footy parts off. I'll just try with scissors and see what happens. I think the stuff's too strong. Yeah, it's too strong for scissors. So I really need clippers. Which I probably have some kind of clipper, snipper somewhere. I've got these, but they're really kind of big and fat. I don't know if they're going to be able to fit where I need them. Although, I guess I probably could just snip them further away and then move in closer with a finer tool. Trying to be careful not to accidentally snip any of the gnomes themselves. Part of, like, I wanted to get them as big as possible. I mean, as big as I could, given the need to get 10 of them on one thing, right? So price definitely keeps me from going whole hog with that. But I think this is about the right size for having 10 little figures on your board. I wonder if I can just... Oh yeah. I should just get the whole top layer off. That'll be way easier to get in there then. This material has a very weird feel to it. It's like, it's brittle, but also kind of powdery. I thought that they would be like smoother and more plasticky. That feels more like the description they have on the website. But that is not what they feel like. They're almost like ceramics. And I feel like if you... Actually, let me test this real quick. If you chip them... Yeah. If you chip them, there's like white underneath. So that pigment is just on the surface. I was really hoping that it was like a solid, you know, like those spool fed 3D printers. I was hoping it'd be like that, but clearly it is not. Let's see if I can get this camera closer. That's better. One moment. Hey, look, I have a technical difficulties overlay now. Woo! So professional. All right, back. Something in my camera settings is bad because these guys look like the color green you're seeing there, or the color green I'm seeing on my screen, looks kind of like army men, and they are more saturated than that. You see how saturated that blue is? That's like slightly more saturated than the actual blue is, and this is less saturated than the actual green is, so don't know what's going on there. That is not what I wanted to happen, but looks like nothing broke. I did an earlier version of these guys that were almost half as big as these guys, and all their little thin bits broke super easily. And, yeah, that's kind of a duh, but I wanted to see, like, how strong is this stuff actually. There's also with a different material. They have a super duper high res material that's also super duper expensive, and I got a set of these which I'll pull out after I'm done getting these guys out. We could do a compare and contrast. Anyone working on anything fun tonight? I have some kind of a clipper that can take that off. Let me see if I can find it. That is not it. Oh, cool. I found some smaller clippers. That'll help. Where are you, funny clippers? Well, as always, the proper tool for the job eludes me at the moment. That's okay. Just get the rest of these guys out. Oh yeah, these smaller clippers are way easier. Almost get it down to a nice smooth surface with these. Dottie says, been practicing sculpting eyes. Cool. Always a good thing to practice. Uh-oh. Looks like here I had this part of the platform too close to the support. It was actually pretty challenging to get these guys arranged in ZBrush in such a way that that would not happen, so I'm not surprised that happened. So there'll be a little bit of cleanup work on that. Which, yeah, that's one of the reasons it's particularly distressing to me that these guys are not actually green all the way through. I'll have to try to do a paint match, I guess. See if you guys can get a sense for the detail on here. Does that look like an angry gnome trying to get you to get away from his jewels? Stay away from my jewels! Amy says, I got my dual action airbrush working. I haven't got much of a chance to play with it yet though. Cool. Do you have any idea what you're going to do with it yet? There's a lot of really fun, just kind of cheesy techniques that you can do with airbrushes that just make like really good, instant, fun results. But I call them cheesy because they've been used like so much that they're kind of airbrush cliches, I guess you could say. Those were the first things I learned when I tried to make a go of it as a professional t-shirt airbrusher. Ah, another one. Oh, darn it. Oh, and it's stuck to his foot too. Yeah, at some point I'm gonna have to get in here and start like bending and flexing to a dangerous degree. Oh wow, that one's really bad. See, it actually, this guy's shovel handle is going through this guy's platform. Shoot. So that means I'm gonna have to clip his shovel. These gnomes just really love each other and do not want to separate. Amy says, not really, I have an airplane model that I could work on. I guess the previous owner used it for model making, but I don't really have the time to work on such a big project. Yeah, probably getting good scores on SAT is more important than being able to airbrush cool, like glass droplet or beach scene on a t-shirt. Or have an awesome B-52 bomber model. If you could actually have a real B-52, that would probably be more valuable than high SAT scores. Just because, I mean, you could probably sell it for hundreds of thousands, if not a million or more. Put that money in a bank right now, and at your age, you can pretty much be set for life. Just off the interest. So, my advice to you is to try to get a B-52 bomber, a real one. These shoot off violently. Okay, mark my words, before this night is out, I am going to cut one of these guys off of their platform and they're going to go shooting off into my garage and I will never find it again. And even though I told myself when I did my first prototype batch, hey, I should really make 11 in each set, not 10, so that there's one for that sort of thing, getting lost, you know, ruining the paint job on it or whatever. But did I remember to do that? Nay. Nay, I did not. Oh, there he goes. But not lost, so that doesn't count. Amy says, want to help me plan my bomber plane heist? Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess the first part, you gotta research, like, where they still exist. I don't think any of them are still, like, in flying condition. So you'll probably have to check aeronautical museums and private collections. There's probably a private collector too who has one. Maybe those old airfields that are just full of junked planes. But I mean, the secret to success with getting a B-52 bomber would be getting one in good condition, because I mean, who wants just a pile of metal? Anyway, I'm sure your school advisor, if you explain to them that you have a superior plan to getting a good SAT score, they would support you. Maybe help you plan your heist. I'm actually thinking, with all these little white spots that I'm ending up with, it might be better to just spray paint all of these guys with a coat of some kind of good, you know, acrylic spray paint. Slow night tonight. I've only got 7 watching. It's interesting. I had this thought that if I streamed too much, then it wouldn't be special anymore and people would stop watching. That could be true. But then everyone else, you know, all the experts say, just gotta do it regularly, and that slowly builds up your viewership. So I guess I'll listen to the experts. Whatever. It's not like it costs me anything to do it. In fact, I rather enjoy it. I sincerely want to... There you guys are. I sincerely want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. It actually is something I realized today at work. I was like, hey, I get to go home and stream tonight. That's cool. I get to hang out with my friends, Amy and Dottie, and... Wait, who else is on here? Oh, hey, DJ Gaiden. Says, wait, you can do that? I have 2 just hanging out in the back. And then a message is held for review. Oh. Amy says all the Europeans are gone. Fat Peanuts Fat says it's 10:30 here, so a tad late. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I really wish I could start these sooner in the day. But since I carpool to work, I don't really have much of a choice of when I go to work and come back from work. That's why I try to do weekend ones whenever I can earlier in the day. Are you on the East Coast, Peanuts, or are you in a different country? Eastern Standard Time, DJ. Yeah. There's Adam says, I have been lurking. Cool, thanks for popping up and saying hi. But now I must go since it's pretty late here too. Alright. Well, thanks for popping in and saying hi. Amy says, Pacific Standard Time for the win. That's right, we win. We get to stay up the latest out of everyone. Huh, this is an interesting little conundrum here on the bottom. I guess I'm getting a good sense for the material properties of this stuff. So this sheet is pretty flexible. I expected it to snap when I did this, but it's not. Peanuts says in Texas. That's cool. I used to live in San Antonio. What part of Texas are you in? I lived in Texas when I was a kid for 5 years. And the movie, what was it called? Oh, what was that movie called? It's about, it was in the 80s. It's about a little kid who has a computer program and he's running away from bad guys on the Riverwalk in San Antonio. And I remember how surreal it was to see something, someplace I had been in a movie. It's like, whoa. Alright, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yes! I counted right. Counted something right, you guys. Alright, well, you know what? I'm going to try something on these guys real quick since I'm feeling like I'm probably going to end up spray painting them anyway. I want to see what some of this shade will look like on him. Dottie says 11:30 here in New Hampshire. New Hampshire. Peanut says H-Town. Oh man, is your house all right? Amy says, what did your parents do? You seem to have moved around quite a bit as a child. Yes, I did. My dad was in the Air Force, so got to live in Japan and Texas and Portland and Alaska. I was born in Seattle, and then I ended up back here in Seattle. So. Oh, Amy said, I think streaming it regularly is helpful for slowly growing an audience, whereas one super hyped stream is only useful if you begin with an audience. That's probably true. Okay, so as I suspected, based on the surface of this material, it seems to really drink up the paint you put on it. So I can't really, like, this shade works by pooling up in the crevices and then not really showing up on the rest of the surface, but since it's being soaked in immediately, it's darkening all the rest of the surface as well. So if I put it on super thick, it has more of a chance to get to the cracks at least. to let that dry and see how it turns out. Amy says, sounds fun as well as infuriating. You mean moving around all the time? There were a few, yeah, when I had to leave my friends, that did get infuriating. The older I got, the more upsetting that was. Peanut says, Metro Houston, Sugarland to be exact. Got lucky and my area was okay. Everything around me got pretty damaged. Oh, well. Glad things worked out well for you. Marisuki88, a good morning from Sweden. Ah, welcome Sweden. Good morning to you. Guten Tag. Is that close enough to Swedish for you to understand? Where's my trash? Fat Peanuts says, but I worked in Houston and some areas looked like a tornado hit, took everything out of people's homes and left the houses upright. Very sad, but they will rebuild. Yeah, that would really suck. Malcolm, hello Malcolm, welcome. Okay. I think that's enough for those guys for now. Let's look at the super fancy dancy ones. So these ones I believe are a little bit smaller because the printer bed these can print on is limited to 50 centimeters by 50 centimeters. And they also come out translucent, which is great for some things and not so great for other things. Come on, you can do this. Anyway, let's start hacking these guys up, see how they compare. Actually, I'm going to get the green versions out. Oh, the ones that will be green. The emerald ones. Let's see, sapphire. There we go. These are my greens. I'm assuming they have all the same problems as the other ones as far as pieces intersecting inappropriately. Inappropriate intersection is not to be taken lightly. Whoa, this stuff is much more brittle. Jeez, this is kind of scary. It explodes. It's almost like glass. All right, there's one free. Oh, no! Where'd he go? Oh, right under my foot. Wow, that's terrifying. Okay. Uh-oh. Did more of them go flying off? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, okay. That's it. Alright, so this is a terrifying process, you guys. Peanuts is telling me to get safety glasses. You know, that's not a bad idea. Where do I have them? I think I have them safely hidden, where I will never find them. Amy says, YouTube does an okay job at the live stream stuff. Still prefer Twitch, though. It has the advantage of being a streaming for a longer time. A streaming platform, yes. They definitely have more practice at it. YouTube just told me tonight that they now have the power for me to flag specific comments with the Alt key, so that's nice. Hopefully I can remember that when a specific comment needs to be flagged. Fat says, I've only ever watched gaming on Twitch. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it was originally built for. And I thought about doing Twitch instead of YouTube, but it's one of those things where, like, I already have everything set up on YouTube. It'd be such a pain to do all that stuff again. And I have an audience on YouTube. I have no audience on Twitch. Oh, no! Come on! There we go. Okay, let's come up with a strategy. Counter disappearance strategy. If I clip them inside of this little baggie, I assume it will be much harder for them to fly into Neverland. Also less likely for them to fly into my little eye. Malcolm says, has anyone ever gone to Monsterpalooza? I have not. I really want to someday. I have lots of friends who have their work there. Have you ever been, Malcolm? Nice. Okay. So now, one of the beauties of these guys coming out clear is that I can do the little jewel at their feet, the proper color, and make it all like shiny and neat. So that is what I'm going to do real quick to get a feel for it. There's a kind of a residue that is on parts that are kind of shielded or have underhangs. Not sure what that's comes from, but Malcolm says Monsterpalooza is on his bucket list. Yep, mine too. I do feel almost like, well, I'm torn about Monsterpalooza because I know if I went there, I would probably end up spending hundreds of dollars on stuff. I kind of have a natural defense mechanism built up to buying really cool collectible stuff now because I just tell myself, you know, I could actually make that myself. I mean, obviously it wouldn't be as good, but it would be my own thing that I made. And that helps to get me through a lot of temptation most of the time. I did go through a phase where I was collecting almost every single Spawn, you know, McFarlane toy figure during the late 90s and early 2000s. And now they're just sitting in a couple giant cardboard boxes. Alright. So I think I was going to use Little Windows fake stained glass paint, but the stuff I have is many years old, and I ran to Michael's and Joann Fabrics on the way home today, hoping to get more of it, and neither of those places had it. So I don't know if they don't sell it anymore, or if those places just don't stock it, but I have another idea for how to do it. Which is this So Strong tint. And I transferred them into little bottles so it's either easier to squeeze a little drop at a time. And, oh, you know what? This had not occurred to me before. I was going to mix it into epoxy and then put the epoxy in the under there to create that color, but I'm wondering now if I just applied the color directly. I don't know how this dries on its own. I've never tried that. Although the epoxy will also help to give it like a nice weighted bottom to it, which I also want. So Fat Peanuts is saying, where did these things come from? If you're talking about these figures, they came from, I got them 3D printed. I built them in ZBrush and had them, uploaded them to a website called Shapeways.com, and they printed them for me and sent them back. Here you can see the difference in size between this one is the super duper high quality, which it's hard to tell because it's transparent, and this is the much lower resolution but larger version. So yeah, I'm gonna go with epoxy just to be safe because I've never applied this stuff directly to a surface and seen if it would dry. I'm worried it might not be translucent enough, because I want it to be like a jewel. I want you to kind of see light shine through it. Now if I end up doing all of these guys, what I'll probably do is squeeze out a bunch of this stuff. Like, squeeze out part A, mix a color in with it to where I have enough to fill up all 10 of them, and then mix part B in the amount that I need each time, because it's going to be difficult to keep the color saturation perfect for all 10 of them, because look, how do you measure this amount of blue? It's like, bink. I can do a bink every time, but because it's so small, who knows? I might be 20 or 30% off in my little binks every time. Yeah, see, it looks like that might even be too much. Now, let's see when we mix it with part B. Malcolm says, yes, I'd rather make my own art as well instead of buying collectibles. The only thing that still gets me is when it's like a particular artist that I kind of idolize. The chance to own, a very specific thing from a very specific artist. That's the thing that still gets me, and that's Monsterpalooza is full of that, so. Let's see. Fat Peanut says, why couldn't you have done this last night when I didn't have to be up at the blank crack of dawn? Yeah, I just kind of had to pick a night. Although I did do it Monday night, so I just sandwiched you in nights that you couldn't do, I guess. Alright, so I'm just going to do it on this scrap piece to get a sense for how well the light comes through this amount of blue. Probably need to make it a little thicker. All right. Yeah, because I can get a good like 2 centimeters of thickness in that little cup at the bottom. Malcolm says, do you have preferred epoxy that you use that cures clear and not yellowed? Yeah, I would have preferred that. This stuff at this thickness, it's practically clear. And since I'm mixing color in with it anyway, it's pretty much negligible. DJ Guidance says, good night, try to catch the next one. Also excited to see your work Friday. Hey, thanks, DJ. Yeah, I can't wait for you to see it. Good night. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm 90% sure that is too much blue, so I'm going to mix up a less blue batch. After I figure out a way to put this where it's not going to drip all over everything. Okay, this boop has got to be microscopic. Ready? Boop. No, that was too big. Alright. I'm just going to try to scrape most of it away with my other stick. Meh. Okay. Now let's see what happens. Maybe you guys can help me. I was trying to come up with clever alliterative names for each of the gnome companies, right? So there's 4 companies. There's the ones that are there's white, blue, red, and green of the gems that they go after. So I tried to give them some adjective and then their color. So for example, the diamonds, I thought wealthy whites. That makes sense. They're going after the white jewels. And then the blues, I thought brilliant blues, because they're also like self-aggrandizing themselves, right? Yeah, I think this is a much better amount of pigment to mixture. The greens, I'm calling them the greedy greens. The reds, however, what did I come up with reds? I didn't like the name for reds very much. So you guys let me know if you can think of a good greedy, rich, self-aggrandizing adjective that a company of mining gnomes would call themselves that starts with an R. Oh, radiant. Radiant reds is what I had. It's like, it's alright. It's not the best thing, but it's alright. Amy, you're a scholar, so. Ruthless reds. That's interesting. The name of the game is Shafted, so you are trying to shaft your opponent, so ruthless is definitely an attribute that they would probably be proud of. Boy, I'm really wishing that I had printed 11 of each color so I would be able to be for sure. Alright, well, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and do one of them. See how it looks. Sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet. Doesn't matter if that bullet is gluten-free or free range or has extra MSG, you gotta bite it. And Brad says, I might reconsider wealthy whites. I kind of like the politically charged nature of it, but yeah, I second guessed myself on that one as well. So you are not wrong to second guess it. Fat Peanut says rowdy reds, and then says still too much blue. Maybe. I think rowdy doesn't work for me because I'm trying to make these guys kind of distinct from dwarves. They're not dwarves, they're gnomes. And gnomes are not known for their rowdiness. They're more of like the OCD, super hard working cousins of dwarves. They have all the kind of greedy covetousness that dwarves have, but they're more systematic and ruthless in its pursuit. That's my interpretation of gnomes anyway. I have no idea how I formed that I'm sure it was a mixture of C.S. Lewis and George MacDonald and Tolkien. But yeah. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Hold on to your butts, everyone. Yeah, it looks like I didn't even mix enough. That's funny. I also didn't mix the blue in well enough. Getting streaks. Everything's going wrong. That's alright. One of the joys of doing it live. Living on the edge. I got some bubbles in there, which I'm not happy about either. Oh, look at that. So that actually ends up being pretty pale looking. Well, I guess the nice thing about not actually filling up the bottom is I can put more opaque blue under that and still get the rich blue that I want. Alright. Try to set this guy upright so it doesn't drip out. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up one of the caps with part A and a part B, so I know I got equal amounts. Filled is probably too much. I'll put them to an equal amount. Amy says rich reds. Oh, how did I miss that? That is not significantly different than wealthy whites, I guess, as far as just how plain spoken it is. Wait, I said radiant reds. Resplendent reds. That's the one I liked better. But I'm still open to others. I'm also open to a substitute for wealthy whites as well. If you want to wiggle your little wiggly brains and come up with another W word, let me know. Regressive reds, says Brad. Now that's a little too political. Brad says anal retentive reds. Yeah. You know, I'm just not a fan of the word anal. Sorry. Really, in any context. I would make a terrible proctologist. Okay. Although I do have the gloves for it. Amy says, but it's pretty similar to wealthy whites. Yep. Malcolm says rapacious reds. Ooh, yeah, I like that. I probably need to look that word up to be sure. I mean, so it's clearly the root of a really awful word that I don't want evoked or associated with my game at all. But I wonder, like, my understanding of the word rapacious is like super greedy and cutthroat. And willing to thieve and steal and do violence. I don't know. But it's probably only a subset of those things. But all of those associations are things that I have with the word rapacious. Shelly's to you. Hey, Shelly. I haven't seen you pop up here before, or I don't recall. If you have, sorry about that. And welcome. Says Royal Reds. That could totally work. Malcolm says rapacious means greedy. Yeah, that was my understanding. But I thought there was a certain amount of like willingness to do bad things as a result of that greed. That was a part of that. Oh, I haven't mixed these yet. Also, I haven't cut all these guys off their thing. Boy, I almost did a huge boo-boo. Someone copy and paste the definition of rapacious. I want to see it. Come on, stay up. Shelly says, yeah, I'm new. Awesome. Always like new people coming around. Ting. Oh, alright. We lost a shovel. We lost an arm and a shovel. Brad says, Wily Whites. Oh, that's interesting. Ah, can't even see that, can you? There it is, yep. So that busted off of that guy when I was popping him out of his position. Not entirely shocking. This stuff is much more fragile than I'd like. I think a little super glue will take care of this problem now. Wily Whites. Malcolm says, rapacious, excessively or inordinately desirous of wealth, profit, etc. Avaricious? I know what avarice is. I've never heard avaricious. Amy says, aggressively greedy or grasping, says Google. Well, that is a very strong argument for rapacious. I think it'd be good to have like a slightly different flavor all within the same family for each of the four, right? So like if there were 4 attributes that all gnomes shared, and you know, one of them is being rapacious, one of them is being, although the greedy greens is a little redundant at that point, right? But I also, greedy is not the best one I came up with. It's like, who would call themselves greedy? They would want to come up with something a little more sophisticated than that. Because while they recognize and appreciate greed, kind of like Ferengi, they I don't know that they would just call themselves that. Malcolm says, did someone say ravenous reds? Not yet. That is another idea. That's pretty close to Let's see. I started with resplendent and I can't remember the other one now. Mirasuki88 says waged whites. Wait. Is that what you were trying to... W-A-G-E-D. Waged? As in someone who makes a wage? Or has wages? Or gives wages? I don't know what that word means. Amy says great greens. Perhaps really arrogant. Yes, very valid. I think I'm really attracted to the more syllabic words, because basically the longer the word, the more kind of pompous you would seem as a character. You know, if you're naming your mining company something with a long word, that probably gets that across better. Alright, now this guy's legs just broke right in half. Super glue to the rescue. Actually, I'm gonna do the rest of my cutting before I try to super glue them back together. Oh no, it chipped. That is a bad chip too. What's a good way to fix that chip? I wonder if super gluing piece to the material that's kind of cut to size is the best way to address that. See if it's even possible to cut something to size with this, since it shatters and fractures instead of actually carving. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. Mostly got there. I just thought of rambunctious reds, but again, that's probably too dwarven. Too dwarf and not enough gnome. That's always so frustrating when you can't actually remove your finger or your tool from the thing you're super gluing because it's super glued to it. Amy says grandiose. Oh, the grandiose greens. That's a nice long word. It's also clear and to the point. It's aspirational. Braggadocious. I like it. I should be writing these down because I don't even know if I can access this chat later. Hold on a sec. Where is it? Alright. Let's get some of this down. So, greens. So Amy just said grandiose. We've got great. We've got greedy. Okay. Not sure if I spelled that right. I remember someone said royal. Rascal Reds. Rascal is too dwarf. Amy says gallant. I don't know if gnomes strive to be gallant. Like, are you guys familiar with Ferengi from the Star Trek? I think that's pretty much the archetype that I'm going for here. Ferengi don't take pride in being brave. They take pride in outsmarting and sneaking around. Gifted. Alright. Can you guys remind me of any of the other red ones? Oh, I see Ravenous. Let's see, I had Resplendent. Also probably spelled wrong. Oh, Brad says Witty White. Okay, that's interesting. It's not as long as I would prefer, but it does hit the other criteria. Amy said ruthless earlier. Mirosuki says raw reds. Raw. I think that probably evokes things closer to orcs or goblins than to gnomes, for me personally. Brad Davidson says, how whimsical. It doesn't really seem arrogant enough to me. Oh, how's whimsical? Oh, whimsical whites. No, the game itself is whimsical, and the tropes that it's playing with are whimsical, but they would not themselves, in universe, aspire to be whimsical. I hate it when super glue doesn't dry fast. Here's some stick fast activator that theoretically makes the super glue dry super fast. But I have not noticed an appreciable difference in being able to actually get something to stay in place when I use it. Well, it doesn't help when it's not actually in the right spot now, does it? Let's get some blue ideas, guys. Right now I've got brilliant, which is pretty good. It hits most of the criteria, so I don't know if we'll come up with a better one, but one of the most important lessons I learned about design and art in general is to never be satisfied with your first idea. Malcolm says bamboozle, bewildering. Let's see. I think it would be bamboozling blues, probably. Bewildering blues. I just thought of bedazzled. Alright, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Uh-oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, this is making me very nervous. There's another one hiding somewhere. Or did I pop one off onto the floor? Never to be found again. Terrified to even move, because I mean, like, could be right under my foot again. I don't want to move my chair because it could be right under one of the wheels. Okay. I'm going to take this systematically. I'm just going to clear the area of everything that is not a white gnome. By the way, here's the dried shade on this piece. Not very impressive, very muddy. No, 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 not a gnome, not a gnome. Let's see, we've got, Amy says beaming blues or beguiling blues. Oh man, you guys are coming up with a lot of blues. Theming. Beguiling. Let's see, Abby says, your 10th is in the bubble bag. Well, let me double check that. Here's the bubble bag. Oh! You guys are geniuses. Fat Peanuts agrees. Check the bag you clipped in. Indeed. Whew. Thanks, guys. We got Bodacious from Shelley's. That is a blast from the past. I don't think I've heard that since Bill and Ted. Blazing. Coming in from Mirzuki. Brad says Briary? Briary blue? What is that? I don't know that word. Shelley says, telling my age. That's right. Now we know you watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I know. I mean, maybe you were very young, or you just saw Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, the sequel. I went back and watched both of those a couple of years ago with my sons, and was surprised that they actually held up in that kind of dorky, cheesy 80s way. Like, they're very weird, very entertaining movies. Shelley says brazen. All right. Brad says, it's something that's protected by thorns or barbs. Could be telling of a cowardice type of behavior. Really scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Briary. Okay, like covered with briars. It'd be like thorny is probably what I would have picked, but sure, briary works. Okay. Let's get these guys all prepped. We'll have them assume the position. Oh. Oh wow, that's actually a really important thing I hadn't considered is after I apply the stuff, they need to sit flat. So maybe I could, let's see, what's a way to get them to sit flat? Amy said, I said bountiful before, but you skipped it. Okay, bountiful. Alright, you get your full credit, Amy. Okay, that's one way to keep them propped up. But it is kind of perilous and pendulous. Yeah, because you bump the cup and they just fall down. Okay, so I could probably cut a hole. It'd be annoying to have to use tin cups just to hold these guys up. Seems like a good option, but a not very earth conscious one. Let's see, if I had a longer, wider thing I can cut through. Shelly says rapacid? Rapacid? I don't know what that word is, unless you're trying to say rapacious again. Hey, Scorv's here. Hi, Scorv. Let's see. Brad says blue tack is your best friend. I do not have blue tack. I have blue tape. What is blue tack? What is that? It sounds familiar, but I don't know what that is. Scorv is saying, what 3D printer did you use to get such small detail? I shipped it out to Shapeways. Shapeways.com. It's the same company I did that tutorial on 3D printing about. Alright, so I could cut little holes in this guy and then put it on cups that I don't have to cut holes in. There's got to be a... Scorp says, what about using 2 lengths of taut string? Yeah. Not a bad idea. Actually... I do have these little stringy wire guys. I don't want anything that has give to it that can move. I think that's what it comes down to. Because guaranteed I will bump it and then not be happy. Oh, what's this? What's this? Oh, yes. Perfect. Okay. Here's something that was in the trash anyway. Hopefully I can get this guy out without breaking him. Yeah. Okay, so cut 10 little holes in here. Brad says, it's stuff you use to stick posters to your wall. I'm not sure what it's called in the Americas. Okay, yeah. I know that stuff. I do not have any. Shelly says you can get something like blue tack in white. Yep. It's not a bad idea. I've used Silly Putty, which is pretty similar in consistency. But I'd have to use quite a bit of it, I think, to hold up 10 gnomes at once. Shelly says shoebox lid, which that's essentially what this is, but without the shoes. You guys are so darn helpful. I wonder how many live streams exist where the person doing the live streaming is actually actively being helped by people watching the stream. I'm trying to say that this is a brilliant, one-of-a-kind stream, you guys. And you are witnessing a historical event that you will probably be telling your grandchildren about. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright. I thought I cleaned everything up, but somehow I got gold leaf from our stream on Monday. Oh, it's because I pulled this box out of the trash where there was a lot of gold leaf dust. One of the few downsides to dumpster diving, I guess. Scorp says, actually find blue tack a pretty decent kneaded eraser as well. I can see that. Yeah, I doubt the inventor of Silly Putty had considered that it would be used to mask off parts of sculptures for painting miniatures and stuff. Okay, are we ready? I think everything's prepped. I can mix these and apply them all within 3 minutes probably. And if it's too dark, well, I'll just have to change their name to the Too Dark Blues. The non-bright blues. Amy says, I know of some, but this is definitely one of the most communicative streams, viewer/streamer wise. Cool. Yeah, I think one of the reasons that I don't watch mini streams is because of that. I just like the supposed trade-off you're making for not having the quality of like an edited presentation is that it's interactive in some way, and it is interactive in that you can talk to other people in the stream, but it's definitely no substitute for actually being able to interact with the person streaming. No offense to any of you guys, who I'm sure are much just as interesting, if not more so, than I myself am. However, when you go to a specific person's channel, ostensibly it is because you find something about that person interesting. Amy says the smaller streamers tend to interact more often. Are you saying I've lost weight? Thank you. I've been working on it. Cutting out those carbs, getting as small as possible. Amy says the chat doesn't pass by as quickly. Yes, that's the secret. I don't know, you know, if this channel grows to the point where the chat is going so fast I can't answer everyone. I don't honestly know what I'm gonna do. That would make me sad. It's kind of like when you go to concerts for bands that you like. I like to go to concerts where I can like physically touch them on the stage if I want. Not that I want to touch people performing. I'm just saying, like, you're that close, it feels intimate, it feels like a relational thing that's happening. And you know, sometimes they'll put the microphone in your face for a thing, or you know, they'll pull you up on stage and you get to stage dive even though it's against the rules. You know, that sort of thing happens, and that's so cool. The one concert I went to that wasn't like that, you know, was in a legit stadium, and I was just bored. I was like, I really like this band, but you know, I could listen to the CD at home and have the same experience. Except better, because, you know, it's mixed better and professionally produced and such. These guys are still not as, like, tacked down as I would like. If only there was some kind of blue tacky substance I could use. Brad says, quality viewers over quantity of viewers. We are ace. Yes, you are. Abigail says, Sculpey, question mark. As far as sticking them in place, that could work, yeah. And I do have a lot of that stuff hanging around. Where were you 3.5 minutes ago? Well, I'm shocked. I keep underestimating how much goop it actually takes to fill up these little guys. Oh, no, 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 no. That's bad. Let's see, what's the best way to fix that? Should I wait till it dries and try to snap it off, or should I try to smear it up? I'm going to try to smear it up. You know, that might actually be a happy accident if I see that having it on the sides is a big, is a win for me, which it may be. Yeah, see, as it's starting to get tackier, it's a lot harder to smooth around and get where I want it to go. One thing I don't know about is what happens when you put blue this dark in a thin layer. I assume it's just going to end up as still too light, but I'm out of stuff, so I might as well give it a try. That's why I did not give it a try, because now I've got a really gross surface down here. Alright, well, might as well mix up the final batch. That won't color match exactly, but that's alright. I feel like these are like natural gemstones are varied in their color, so it's totally fine. It's totally fine, you guys. We'll get through this together. A little more part B. That's a beautiful looking blue. Brad Davidson says, Josh, what's this band? Sounds mid-90s. Very like. 10 out of 10. This is a band by my friend Andy, and it's called Sublimation. And I don't know if their stuff is available anywhere, but you should look for it. Their first album, I believe, is called Hydralisk Den. It is one of the few CDs that I've found that doesn't trigger YouTube's copyright strike, so I'm able to monetize. Because God forbid you play recognizable popular music on your videos and, you know, further promote the bands. Alrighty. That will be done in a few minutes. And yes, mid-90s. That was about when they were making these CDs. He helped me with a musical project of my own. I worked with him at a game company called Outrage Entertainment, where he was a designer. I think he started as QA, and then he was designer, and then he did some sound design stuff. I can't remember his last name now. Andy... Sorry, Andy, I can't remember your last name. I mean, it's been 15 years since I've worked with you, so it's not that bad. Okay, here's the next thing I'm going to try. I'm going to try to match this grain, see if I have a paint that matches it or gets pretty close. Amy says, what they're afraid of is unofficial streaming of music, I believe. Yeah, okay. I mean, all the places you can get illegal music, why would you get it from a stream? I don't know. Looks like it needs a little more yellow, just a touch of yellow. Ooh, yellow-green, even better. Brad says, couldn't find it, but I dig it. Huh. I guess I'm not surprised with the ephemeral nature of music and the music industry. Okay, so if I just touch these guys up. I make it so that you will never know that they were broken. It's a pretty good color match, I have to say. I mean, I'm contractually obligated to say so. That is another prime joke tip right there. If you want to be really funny, botch the main word in your joke. Hilarious. Still think I'm going to end up just spray painting these guys anyway, but I just want to try this to see if this is viable. Such a weird texture these things have. I cannot put my finger on what it's like because it's so unlike other materials I work with. Be interested to see if the spray paint soaks into them the same way that this acrylic paint does. Alrighty, let's pop these guys out and see how they're looking, and we'll shut her down for the night. I'm gonna buy some spray paint, because I don't think I have any Yeah, I don't think I have any primary colors in spray paint, so I'm just gonna get blue, green. Well, I do have white, but I get blue, green, and red, and spray those, and then we'll do another stream at some point where I show you how they look after that. Alright, why are you not coming? You're being stubborn like a dwarf, not a gnome. Huh. It does seem darker than I hoped, but you can see like the difference in color when you run it over a light and a dark surface. So that's a big part of what I was hoping for. If you look at the tiles of the gems they collect, definitely works with those guys. So yeah, I'll do a stream where I do some super detailed paint on these guys, so you can see how incredibly detailed they are, because they are super cool. But that'll be good for tonight. So thanks for joining me, everyone, and I don't know what's going on this weekend. I might be doing like a mini game jam with my buddy. But I don't know when yet. So I don't know. I'll definitely post another, scheduled update if I'm going to be around on the weekend and let you guys know. If not, I'll see you next Wednesday. Yeah, and actually, what is it? It's the 20th. So I'm at the point now where I have to kind of call it if I'm going to finish the mold making tutorial for the first, or if I'm going to just edit more Shadow of Colossus build. And I think because I'm trying to make the mold making tutorial really good and thorough, I don't want to rush it. So I'm probably going to do another Shadow of Colossus for the first. But I do feel like channel health wise, doing these streams is really great, as far as like I don't feel as much pressure as like, oh, I have to have exactly the perfect thing every month, which is really cool. But yeah, let me guys know what you think about that, and I'll stick around for another couple minutes to answer any questions in chat. And again, good night. See you guys.